You've sat in that salon chair and walked out feeling like something went wrong, but you couldn't put your finger on what. The cut looked fine. The stylist seemed confident. And yet when you got home and looked in the mirror, something felt off. Maybe a little heavier, a little more tired, a little more settled. And not in the good way. Here's what's actually happening. Most haircuts marketed to women over 50 are designed around the wrong things. They're designed around manageability, around face shape charts that haven't changed since 1987, around what's appropriate. None of that has anything to do with what actually makes you look younger, sharper, and more like yourself. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The long layered cut with face framing pieces. Here's something most women don't know. A single 2-inch difference in where your layers begin can either lift your entire face visually or drag it downward. That's it. 2 inches. And most stylists never talk about it. When hair hangs in one unbroken length past the jaw, gravity wins. The weight of the hair pulls the eye downward, and because our gaze follows the longest line in the frame, the whole face reads as lower, heavier, and more tired. It's not your face that's changed, it's the direction the hair is pointing. And for women over 50, where we've already experienced some natural volume loss around the temples and cheekbones, that downward pull is the last thing you need working against you. The fix is a long layered cut with deliberate face framing pieces, and the word deliberate is doing a lot of work there. This isn't about adding random layers for texture. It's about placing the shortest pieces so they begin right at or just above the cheekbone, creating a visual frame that draws the eye up, not down. The layers then graduate longer toward the back, which keeps the length if you love it, but removes the visual weight that was dragging your face. When you ask your stylist for this, say it exactly like this. I want face framing layers that start at the cheekbone and graduate to longer layers at the back. I want the front pieces to be soft, not blunt, and I want them to fall naturally toward my jaw when I'm not styling. That's it. That language is specific enough that a skilled stylist knows precisely what you're asking for, and can't misinterpret it as a general add some layers request. The snapback here is real. Women who make this one change consistently report that people start asking if they've done something different, if they've been on holiday, or if they've had something done. They haven't. The face hasn't changed. The hair's direction has. And the human eye reads upward movement as youth. That's just how visual perception works. Now the specific before and after swap you're making. You're trading a single length cut that pulls the eye toward the chin for a layered cut that lifts the eye toward the cheekbones. Same general length, completely different visual effect. Your stylist can do this in the same appointment. You don't have to lose significant length to gain this result. One maintenance note. Face framing pieces grow out faster than the rest of the cut because they're shorter. Plan a trim every 6 to 8 weeks specifically for those front sections, or the framing effect softens and the dragging returns. A quick 5-minute trim on just the front pieces keeps the whole cut alive between full appointments. Next, we're talking about a cut that almost every woman over 50 is told will make her look older, and the stylists who actually know their craft use it to do exactly the opposite. Part 2. The textured bob with undercutting. The bob has been around for over a century, and there's a reason it keeps coming back. But the version most women over 50 get, blunt, solid, heavy at the bottom, is the version that actually ages them. The textured bob with undercutting is a different animal entirely, and most mainstream stylists won't even bring it up unless you ask for it by name. Here's the thing about a blunt bob. The weight line. That solid, unbroken edge at the bottom of the cut sits like a horizontal bar across the lower part of your face. And horizontal lines in hair read as width, not length. When you're working with a face that's naturally softened around the jaw over the years, the last thing you want is a line emphasizing exactly that zone. The blunt bob doesn't create age. It just frames age in the worst possible way. The textured bob with undercutting removes that weight line entirely. Here's how it works. The stylist takes out the density from underneath the exterior layer. Not visibly from the outside, it still looks like a full lush bob, but the internal weight is gone. What that does is allow the outer hair to move. And movement is everything. Static hair reads as flat. Moving hair reads as healthy, alive, and young. The texture piece is a point cutting technique applied to the ends. Not a razor, specifically, because razor cutting on fine or fragile hair can create frizz and split ends, but a scissor point cutting method that breaks up that solid line and creates ends that move independently rather than in one uniform block. When you ask your stylist for this, say, "I want a bob with internal undercutting for movement and weight removal, and point cut ends, not razor cut, to break up the perimeter line. I want the ends to move, not sit solid." Any experienced stylist will know exactly what you're describing. The snapback is this. Removing internal weight changes how the whole cut photographs. Stiff, heavy bobs read flat in photos and flat in the room. A textured bob catches light differently at every angle. And the result is that people read your hair as thicker, your face as more defined, and your overall appearance as pulled together and current. That last part matters more than people say out loud. Current-looking hair signals health and vitality in ways we process unconsciously. The swap you're making. You're trading a blunt line bob that creates visual width and static weight for a textured, undercut bob that creates movement, lift, and length. Same general shape, but it reads completely differently. Keep the texture alive with a light, flexible pomade or a smoothing cream applied to dry hair at the ends only. The mistake most women make is overproduct the roots for volume and underproduct the ends for movement. It should be the reverse. Roots get volume from blow-dry technique, not product. Ends get product to define the texture and keep the movement readable. What comes next is the cut most women are afraid to ask for, because they've been told their whole lives it's only for women with the right face shape. That's a rule worth breaking. Part 3. The soft pixie with temple volume. I'm going to tell you something a stylist once told me that I've never forgotten. The face shape rules were invented by people who wanted to sell you more services. Most women over 50 have been carrying around a mental list of haircuts they're not allowed to have because of their face shape. The soft pixie is almost always on that list. And it almost always shouldn't be. Here's what's actually true about short hair and mature faces. The concern isn't face shape, it's bone structure. Specifically, it's whether the cut is designed with enough volume at the temple to offset what time naturally does to that area. We lose fat and collagen in the temples first. It's one of the first places the face hollows. A pixie cut that's cut flat at the temple and heavy through the crown actually emphasizes that hollowness. That's the version that ages. But a soft pixie built with deliberate volume at the temple? It replaces what time has quietly taken. The soft pixie with temple volume is built around one non-negotiable technical element. The hair at the temples is left longer and directed outward and slightly forward, so it creates a soft fullness in exactly the zone where volume loss happens first. It's not big hair. It's not a perm-era bouffant. It's a deliberate, controlled amount of fullness in a precise location that changes the entire geometry of how your face reads. The crown is kept textured and slightly lifted. Not architectural, not stiff, just enough to create height that elongates. The nape is kept close and clean, which draws attention upward. The face framing pieces at the front are soft and slightly forward, never slicked back against the head, which is another common mistake that removes softness from the face. Here's what to say to your stylist. I want a soft pixie with length kept at the temples and directed outward for fullness. I want the crown slightly lifted and textured, not flat. I want the nape close-cropped and the front pieces soft and forward, not slicked. The goal is volume at the temples, not through the top. Read that to them directly if you want. It's specific enough to get exactly what you're describing. The snapback is significant. When the temple zone reads full rather than hollow, the whole face reads younger. Not because anything is covered, but because the eye reads volume as youth. Volume loss is one of the primary visual cues the brain uses to calculate age. Giving it back, even through hair placement, rewires that red. Women who switch from flat pixies to soft pixies with temple volume consistently feel like they've taken years off without touching a single other thing. The swap. From a flat temple pixie that emphasizes hollowness for a soft pixie with directed temple volume that replaces it. Both are short. Both are pixies. The difference is in the 2 inches of hair at your temples, and which direction they're pointing. For styling, a light volumizing mousse applied at the roots while hair is damp, then blown dry with a round brush directing the temple hair outward and forward, is the only technique you need. The whole style takes under 10 minutes once you've done it twice. That's what nobody tells you about the right shortcut. It's actually faster in the morning, not harder. The next one is probably sitting in your hair history already. A cut you had years ago that felt right, and then got talked out of. Let me explain why you should go back to it. Part 4. The shoulder-length shag with curtain bangs. The shag is not a 1970s relic. Or rather, it is, but the structural logic behind it is as relevant now as it's ever been, and the updated version of it is genuinely one of the most flattering cuts a woman over 50 can ask for. Here's the thing the trend coverage never explains. The shag works for mature faces not because it's fashionable, but because of what it does to the horizontal to vertical ratio of the face. And that ratio matters more than almost anything else in determining how old or young you read at a glance. As faces mature, they can soften and spread slightly horizontally. Around the jaw, the cheeks, even the forehead. A cut that adds volume evenly all around simply widens what's already widened. The shoulder-length shag does the opposite. It creates vertical movement through the layers, which draws the eye up and down rather than across, and the curtain bangs specifically draw the eye toward the center of the face, to the eyes, the nose, the mouth, away from the outer edges. The shoulder-length shag is built in layers that begin higher than you'd expect, often around the crown, and cascade in visible graduated sections down to the ends. The layers aren't subtle here. They're intentional and defined, which is what creates the movement. The ends are point cut to remove bluntness, and allow each section to behave independently. The curtain bangs are the piece that makes this cut specifically flattering for women over 50 rather than just generally stylish. Curtain bangs are center-parted, longer than traditional fringe. They typically reach to the outer corner of the eye or slightly below, and they part naturally to the sides, framing the face like a soft parenthesis. They're not high-maintenance bangs. They don't need to be perfectly straight or precisely trimmed every 3 weeks. They're designed to be slightly undone, to blend into the layers, and to frame the forehead softly rather than cutting across it with a hard line. Ask your stylist for a shoulder-length shag with layers starting at the crown, graduated sections down to the ends, and point-cut ends. I want curtain bangs center-parted, long enough to reach the outer corners of my eyes, blending into the layers. I don't want hard lines anywhere, soft and movable throughout. That's a complete, professional brief. The snapback. The curtain bang framing combined with the vertical movement of the shag layers creates a face that reads more defined, more alive, and honestly more like a woman who has a point of view about herself. There's something about this cut that communicates intention. Like you chose it, rather than defaulted to it. And people read that. They can't always articulate what they're seeing, but they feel it. The swap you're making. Trading a single-length or minimally layered shoulder cut that reads heavy and flat for a layered shag with curtain bangs that reads light, vertical, and current. Styling is air-dry friendly, which is rare in a cut this flattering. Apply a light curl cream or texture spray to damp hair, scrunch gently, and let it dry. Or, if you prefer a smoother look, rough dry with your fingers and finish the curtain bangs with a round brush directing them to each side. The curtain bangs take about 90 seconds. The rest takes care of itself. There's one more cut to cover, and this is the one I've watched women resist for years before finally trying it, and then never going back. Part 5. The modern lichia, long pixie. Nobody named this cut to make it easier to ask for, which is probably why so few women over 50 know it exists. The lichia is a long pixie, shorter than a bob, longer than a traditional pixie, and it sits in exactly the length range that stylists privately consider one of the most universally flattering options for mature faces. It's long enough to cover the ear and brush the neck in the back, short enough that it has no significant weight to drag the face downward. That middle zone is where this cut does its work. Here's what makes it genuinely different from either a bob or a pixie. Neither extreme applies. With a pixie, the concern for many women is losing the softness that longer face framing pieces provide. With a bob, the concern is the weight and the horizontal line we talked about earlier. The lichia removes both concerns simultaneously. The face framing pieces are long enough to soften the jaw and frame the cheeks. The overall length is short enough that gravity has almost no effect on the silhouette. The technical build of the lichia works like this. The back is cut close and tapered at the nape, which immediately creates vertical lift, The eye follows the line upward rather than outward. The sides are graduated, longer at the front than behind the ear, so the longest pieces sit naturally against the jaw and cheek. The top has slight volume and texture built in, not flat against the head, which adds height without bulk. The key instruction for your stylist, and this is the one most women skip. I want the face framing pieces long enough to fall below the cheekbone, but no longer than the jaw. I want the back tapered at the nape, not rounded, and the sides graduated longer toward the front. The top should have texture and slight lift, not lie flat. Say the word lichia. Most stylists who keep current with technique will know exactly what you mean. If they look uncertain, that brief covers it. The snapback. The lichia is the cut that makes women look like they know something other women don't. It's not a young person's cut, and it's not a practical for my age cut. It reads as a considered, confident choice made by someone who has a clear relationship with her own appearance. That sounds like a small thing until you experience how differently people respond to you when your hair communicates that. It's not a haircut that begs for attention, it's one that holds it. The swap. From a heavy bob or a growing out pixie that's lost its shape for a clean, structured lichia that reads polished at every stage of growth. The lichia also has a forgiving grow-out pattern. As it gets longer, the face framing pieces simply get closer to bob length, which means you have a natural and graceful transition if you want to go longer later. For maintenance, this cut needs a trim every 6 to 8 weeks to keep the taper clean at the nape and the graduation crisp at the sides. Letting the nape get rounded instead of tapered is what turns a lichia into a heavy, shapeless in-between cut. That one thing, keeping the nape tapered, is the difference between a lichia that looks intentional and one that looks like a haircut you're growing out. Style it with a fingertip amount of light paste through the top and texture spray through the sides. The whole routine takes under 5 minutes, and the result holds through the entire day without touching it again. You now know 5 cuts that actually work for women over 50, not because they're trendy, but because of what they do structurally. Face framing layers that lift instead of drag. Textured bobs that move instead of sit heavy. A soft pixie that fills the temple zone back in. A shag with curtain bangs that redirects the eye toward your face. An lichia that hits exactly the length where gravity stops being a problem. That's 5 real conversations you can walk into your next salon appointment ready to have. With the right words, the right reasoning, and the confidence to ask for exactly what you want. Which one of these 5 are you most tempted to try? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely read every one. Next week, I'm covering the 5 biggest mistakes women over 50 make when they try to go lighter or add highlights. And why some of them are actually aging you faster than the color you started with. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.